just for competitors, all these amazing covers. You know, we did a cover with on the 20th anniversary of Ironman, Paul Newby Fraser, Mark Allen, and Dave Scott all dressed in tuxedos, right? And they combined, they had won 20 Ironman titles. It was just perfect. So I love that type of thing. Being able to do things. I mean, that IronWar cover of Dave Scott and Mark Allen, I had reached out to those guys in March of that year because during the 80s, Mark Allen and Dave Scott raced 7 times before Mark Allen finally beat him, right? Actually, yeah. So in 82, in February of 82, that was Dave Scott got second place that year. And Mark, because that was the year Julie Moss collapsed and crawled, Mark was inspired because he knew Julie is a fellow lifeguard. He came in October of 82 because they moved the event to October, really based on the fact Julie and Kathleen had created so much interest in the sport that they ended up moving it to a better time for the island. The winter was not, they sold out in the winter. October was less popular. So all of a sudden, here you've got the Ironman moving to October. You had 2 events that year. Right. But so that year, Mark Allen's derailleur fell off the bike after he caught Dave on the way to Javi. And the following year, Mark got third in 83. And then the following year, 84, he had a 12.5-minute lead on Dave, blew up, and Dave Scott passed him by half marathon with a down 12.5, 13 minutes. 85, neither of them raced because there was no money. Ironman didn't put money into it until 86. 86, a anonymous donor on the island donated $100K. So Dave was there and Mark was there. Dave wins, Mark gets second. 87, Mark has a 5-minute lead. Dave passes him and wins again. And 88, Dave didn't race. Mark gets fifth because he flatted a couple times. And it came down to 89. And my feeling was some things are meant to be. And if Mark Allen was going to beat Dave Scott, he needed to beat Dave Scott. He needed to win the Ironman when Dave Scott is there. Right. So in 89, I called both of them up. It was actually pretty funny. I called both of them up in March or April and said, hey, I want to do a cover of you 2 guys, Showdown on the Kona Coast. And Dave's in Davis, California. And he goes, not a problem. Have Mark come here to Davis. I'll do the shoot. And Mark's in Boulder. And he's like, not a problem. Have Dave come here to Boulder. I'll do the shoot. And they weren't budging. So they sent our photographer, Dave Epperson, with all his equipment. He drove to Davis, drove to Boulder, and we composed them on the cover, Showdown on the Kona Coast, the 2 of them back to back, pointing at each other, all this cool stuff, which was a little innovative for 1989. Yeah. And then that year, in October, the 2 of them had the greatest race ever, where they were side by side for the whole day. And actually what was funny is in the interview I did for the March edition with Dave and Mark on the cover, I said, Dave, what do you think is going to happen this year? And the year before in 88, Scott Molina won with a 3:02 marathon. And Dave goes, I'll tell you, I said, so Dave, what do you think is going to happen? And he said, well, I'll tell you what's not going to happen. Nobody's winning this race by running a 3:02 marathon. Somebody's going to be running in a low 240s. And there's only 2 of us who can do that. Dave Scott and Mark Allen, right? So Mark's reading this going, oh, crap. At that point, Dave's course record for the run was 2:49. So he's basically saying, we're taking 8 or 9 minutes off this course record, and you better be ready. Right. And so on race day, they were separated by 58 seconds. Dave Scott his fastest time up until then was 8:28. That was a course record. And he went 8:10. And Mark went 8:09. So on the fastest day that Dave ever had, Mark Allen beat Dave Scott, which to me is really what it's all about. You beat that guy on the fastest day he ever had. You don't win it in 88 when he's not there. You win, and then he never lost again, right? Mark won 5 in a row after that. So he took 1 year off in 94 for Julie to have a baby, but then came back in 95 and finished up his career winning his 6th and final Ironman World Championship title.